Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Pflugerville. And the whole title is Unity Spiritual Center in Pflugerville. And that's where we are. We're in the clubhouse. And today we're talking about prosperity. And I'm going to use the term divine right to be prosperous. And we're going to talk about that and give you an idea. And a lot of the ideas are coming out of the dynamic laws of prosperity. And I suggest everybody have a copy of this. Maybe join us on Wednesday nights. Maybe it will change things. And that's our intention. That's why we put it together. That's why Kat wanted to get us started on that class. And it's opened some new eyes to me. A lot of you know this is the book that started me in this whole idea in 1978. That's years ago. What is that, 40 years? Oh, jeez. There I go again, talking about years. But anyway, it's even brighter for me today. A couple things I would like to discuss, though, because on Wednesday morning, we're doing a course of love, and we're going through a course of love this week, and it was actually Friday night. We were looking at what's called the ending, the 40 days and 40 nights, and we're in the part of the book that talks about abundance. Okay, and I wanted to share this with you before we start and get into the idea. Now, this is Jesus talking through Mari Peterson, and in that process, he is saying, you think abundance, this is on page 506 in the book. You think abundance is the most difficult thing to demonstrate. Anybody agree? I was taught as a child, you got to work hard. You got to go get an education, you got to struggle, you got to be smarter than everybody else and all those things. And wait until you hear this. You ready? So, you think abundance is the most difficult thing to demonstrate when it is actually the easiest. Now, I want to let you sink that in. That means you're innately prosperous already. So the only thing that has happened is we have allowed the world to cover over our divine right of who we are as a child of God. Now we're going to look at that, okay? And then it goes on and says, you think you could learn what it is you think you could learn what is for you the most difficult type of learning, be it philosophy or math. Anybody have problems with math like me? Okay. And or foreign languages. I'm not good at languages. Do you hear that conversation? Before you could learn how to make money, or in other words, to have abundance. So the big issue in life is prosperity, correct? I mean, we've got a whole country tearing itself apart based upon victimization and the idea that some have and some don't, and we should distribute that income evenly. So how come that occurs and it doesn't appear to be fair? Now we're going to look at that today. This is only right. And this book is saying it's part of who you are innately, and we have allowed programming to overcome the belief of who we are. So that's the beginning. Everybody agree? Controversial? Mm-hmm. So we need to go on. And in going on, what we're talking about is, when I talked about this in the article this week was Black Friday. And what started me thinking about this whole thing was coming back Thursday afternoon of all times, after we'd eaten dinner, and everybody have a good Thanksgiving dinner? Yes. I know. You know, you talk about prosperity, I did overeat. But anyway, the whole idea was I saw a line at Target that was around the block waiting to get in. Now, what did that tell me? What I started realizing is people are afraid. They need to be there before other people. They need to get theirs before somebody else takes it. We have this belief that there's only so much in the world, and I have to get there before you do. I have to believe that I've got to struggle. And you watch on TV some of these Black Friday events, there's people out fighting each other over a simple TV set or something. So what prompts that, and what brings that upset? And the fear that there's not enough to go around. And that's our programming, if you feel it. But the Bible tells me, you know, that there's plenty. Jesus said, don't worry. The birds of the air, they do well. the grasses of the field, they grow and they're beautiful. And you're worried about a Black Friday? Come on. So Black Friday, to me, I realized all of a sudden, it's a perfect example, a perfect picture of where our mindset is as a human being. So we've been trained to fear, to be upset, to have to fight for what we get. And is that what the Bible tells me? Okay. So you're ready. So let's take a look. Now, Course of Love talks about the fact that you have to accept who you are. Okay? And in accepting who you are, you then experience the benefits of who you are. So it says the key to abundance is accepting your abundance. I'm going to say that again. The key to getting abundant is accepting your abundance. And it was interesting to me because Valerie started off, connect your heart to a divine mind, okay, and connect. Did you hear the word connect? And then in the hymn we just sang, it said, I accept this good. And if you go back and look at the words that you just sang, it says, I am full fulfillment, I experience forgiveness, I experience who I am, and I accept it now. And it says, I am a child of God, and I accept it now. So maybe it's simple enough to just accept who we are. Now, the word heirs, and the Course of Love talks about the word heir, because it wants us to understand what that means. So, somebody that's wealthy and passes wealth on to their family, would you agree you know you're heir, and when you know you're an heir, you are willing to accept, you know what's coming to you? Of course, unless your brother or sister takes it away from you, but I'm not going there. But the whole idea is, an heir knows that they're going to be taken care of. As a matter of fact, in wealthy families, what happens is they train the smart ones, train the children to handle the wealth that they know they're going to get. There are schools they send them to learn how to invest and how to do this and how to do that. So they get them ready to accept the wealth. You got it? So the word heir is a very, very poignant word, if I could use that terminology. And I'd like to read a scripture verse to you that talks about heir. Are you ready? So, Paul, in Romans 8:17, I'm going to read 16. And the Spirit bears witness to our spirit that we are the children of God. Okay, now I have an associate that doesn't like the word child of God because it's too glaring. But my Bible says this here. Everybody there? So it says very clearly, verse 16, and the Spirit, capitalized, which means divinity, bears witness that we are the children of God. Period. So what does that mean? You are an heir to everything that is God. And everything that is God is everything we see. Okay? Now I'm going to go on. You ready? And then it says, for those of you that want to get other things involved, it says, and if children, then heirs of God. Now, it keeps getting clearer and clearer. And then it says, and joint heirs with Jesus Christ. Now, could it be clearer? Yes or no? I want an answer. It's kind of like, there it is. So you are an heir, a joint heir with Jesus Christ. So you inherit everything that is of God. And so do you understand where the breakdown is? We haven't been trained in how to do it or how to accept it. Okay? So the key here is, in the Bible it says that we are heirs and we are direct descendants. And so it means we are an expression of God, or we are spirit in expression. And our birthright is everything that God wants us to experience. So we're here as emissaries of divine spirit to bring wealth and things into fruition. a lot of people look at the corporate world, and I don't know why I'm going here, but the corporate world generally hires people. Most people are hired and paid money to work by organizations. True? Really? Okay, and then somebody says, well, what about government? Well, where does government's money come from? Taxes on you and corporations. So the whole wheel, the whole process of prosperity starts with somebody creating something and bringing that product or that service or whatever it is down to us, and that's your job, to bring into this world the prosperity that we came to share with others. How does this church exist? Anybody there? I mean, you're sitting in chairs, okay? RJ's here, Larry's here, Bruce is here, all of us are here, but what does it take to create the space for us to be here? It takes a resource. Believe it or not, we pay for rent on this building here. We're going to build a church down there, and we need $1.5 million. Okay, where does that come from? The universe. And who is bringing things into the universe is us. So that resource is going to come through us, from us, around us, whatever, however it comes. So that money, whether we know it or not, is a resource that's necessary to provide services for all of us. Now, you know, if you really stop and look at it, we are heirs. And my Bible, I don't know about yours, but my Bible says we're direct heirs, and we're joint heirs with Jesus. So that's kind of like a conversation for me that I have not been trained in order how to bring that in. So maybe I need to go back to a training school, or maybe we need to look at the training we've experienced and what we've gotten ready to experience. So that's why I go back to my childhood, and they did not prepare me to be wealthy. As a matter of fact, they wanted to protect me, so I knew the real world. You got it? Mm-hmm. And so don't get your hopes up, don't expect too much. I used to, when we first got involved in this, they talk about my fantasies. Because I used to say, someday. Well, someday is here now, and that church is down there, and we're there because I know that's coming into fruition. And we are learning a new training on how to be in spirit. Okay, now, some of that is letting go of the past. Valerie's meditation today was forgiveness. And that's one of the keys, is to forgive and let go of the past. Everybody there? Because if I'm still thinking that this is the way it's been, or I'm poor, I don't know how, one of the things that I have done is done a lot of things that didn't work. Anybody familiar with failing? So every time something new comes up, oh, there it goes. So those are some of the things we need to relearn in a new world and in a new thought pattern. And so forgiveness is a big issue. Forgiving parents, forgiving neighbors, forgiving spouses, forgiving friends, because that is, see, we are in relationship. Whether we like it or not, that's why we're here, to be in relationship. So when we see something we don't like in somebody else, what is that telling us? That's what I'm dealing with. Boy, I did a good one with that. But you see, that's me. That's a mirror looking at somebody saying, oops, I don't like that. Or, you know what, they did this. But that's an immediate mirror, so I'm here in relationship to understand where I'm going and get new training on how to bring my good into the world so that we can share that good. So really, I've been looking at this. Now, there's more to this. Before I go there, I want to look at the tools we have been using here. And one of those tools is meditation, because God's language is silence. So when we go into silence, we are actually reprogramming. We're letting go of the old and letting the new come in. We've also talked about Ho'oponopono, which is the ancient Hawaiian spirituality that talks about letting go of the past and letting go of upsets. We've also talked about tapping, which uses the meridians in the physical body to let go of upsets, to let go of negative patterning. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and we're going to talk about another thing this morning. But before we go there, I wanted to put this in place. Now, Black Friday, that's why I used the term Golden Sunday. Are you there? So I want you to get this idea. Catherine Ponder says, maybe get the idea of there's gold dust in the earth. Okay, you see, we're not trained to think that way. We're not trained to think that there's gold everywhere. But could that be true? Okay? Gold is a natural occurring element that's in the earth. Okay? What made it so valuable? Why is silver valuable? Silver has commercial uses. Gold has some, but it's mostly jewelry and, so it's an attitude toward an element that's in the ground. So it's our thinking that creates the value. Why is a diamond so valuable? Anybody share with me?
Somebody decided to market it.
They decided to market it years ago and make it valuable. And everybody, when they got engaged, had to have a diamond ring. And the bigger the diamond ring was, the more valuable it was. Why? Because somebody created the need. So understand that we are totally on the thought level, and it's the emotional process that we're going through. Now, the next step I want to do is, how do I get from where I am to where I want to be? Number one is letting go, forgiveness. Number two, it's using Ho'oponopono. Maybe attend the next tapping class. It's amazing how many miracles we've seen with tapping. Get involved in at least 20 minutes morning and evening of meditation. These are all things that add to where we're going. And I decided to bring this in. Kat started me on this, by the way, because she kept bugging me. We got to do dynamic laws of prosperity. Yeah, we got to do it. Okay? And I was reluctant because I did it 40 years ago. You know how we know? But the problem is we forget that we know. So going back and looking at it, I happened to look at Job. Now, do you understand? Anybody remember the story of Job? Job is the guy that did very well, had lots of cattle, lots of wealth, big family, and it all left. He was gone. And he started, woe is me. And the question is, how did he come back? Because he came back much better than he ever was before, and he had more wealth, he had more family, he had more everything. So the Bible says his life was blessed. So what did he do? I think it'd be good to see what he did. So we're going to add that today to our tools. And it says, and this is Job 22, verse, well, I'm going to do verse 28 first. It says, you shall also decree a thing, and it shall be established for you, and the light shall shine upon your ways. Now, decreeing is an affirmation of positive ideas. So decreeing is actually changing the subconscious mind into a new pattern. The Bible says so. Okay? So here we are, and I'm going to say, you shall decree a thing. You shall speak it into being, and it shall be established for you. Period. Then it goes on and says, and the light shall shine upon your ways. So when you start decreeing it, we get light that shows us how to do what we're saying we're going to do. And it doesn't happen until we convince ourselves, or spirit or whatever, to decree something out loud. Everybody there? Because decree implies speaking it from our heart out. Okay, now it says in verse 24, then shall you lay up silver like dust. I love it. Can you imagine silver dust everywhere? And get this picture. And the gold shall be like the sand of the valley. Has anybody ever seen sand on a beach? Can you imagine a beach of solid gold sand? Okay, I want you to get that picture in your mind, because that's what the scriptures are telling us. Okay? So we have entered a world to play in that world, if I can use that terminology, and enjoy it and have fun and bring God's good into the world. And that's our job. That's why we're here. That's our divine story. And we've allowed negative thinking through centuries and centuries and centuries of programming to take that story away from us and give us a victim mentality. So I believe it's overcoming the victim mentality through the tools we've talked about. And the tool we're talking about this morning is an affirmation. So I want everybody to take their bulletin, and in the bulletin is a decree. It's the one with the 15-star sunburst. This one. Anybody out there in TV land, if you want us to email this to you, you need to email us at unitycenteraustin@gmail.com. We're going to be changing that, by the way, soon. But anyway, and we email you one back to you. So, now, first statement, I'm going to go through this because I want you to understand the context of what we're dealing with. Because I just shared with you, you're a child of God. You're a direct heir to everything you could ever possibly want. Anything you can dream up is possible. And you've heard that. You've heard motivational speakers talk about that. And the truth is, there's value to that, but it's in a spiritual context. So it says, I'm a child of a loving Father. And remember, the term Father was a metaphor Jesus used because the Father was the one that took care of the family. And then it says, all that the Father has is mine to share and to experience. So everything you can imagine is already there for us to experience. And then it says, divine intelligence. That's another term because you need different ideas. So divine intelligence is now showing me how to claim my own God-given wealth. Do you see that you have your own God-given wealth? Now, is it materialized for you? Not yet. You notice I use the word yet? Because that's the new thinking we're dealing with. So it says, divine intelligence is even now, claim my own God-given wealth, health, and happiness. I think that covers pretty much everything because you have to be healthy, and it's good to be prosperous, and it's good, and happiness. Now people say, well, when I get the money, I'll be happy. Now it's the other way around. It's an attitude. It's learning the proper techniques to create wealth for ourselves and our family and our community. Then it goes on and says, divine intelligence is even now opening the way for my immediate blessings. Anybody like the term immediate? I'm tired of waiting around. No, I'm not voicing that. I have to be careful with that. But it's time. It is time. Okay, I have faith that all that is mine by divine right now comes to me in rich abundance. And what is yours by divine right? You're an heir, so everything that's possible is yours. Now, again, we got to say the Bible says so. Let's go on. It says, now this is important. My rich blessings do not interfere with anyone else's good. See, there's an unlimited good. There's an unlimited possibility. See, God is not limited. Can you imagine? There's only so much for us. And if we are an expression of God, then we are open to all that is, wherever it is. So it doesn't take from anybody else. All it does is take our share of everything that is. And it goes on. Since God's rich substance is unlimited and everywhere for all to use, there is no delay. Again, it's now. Now, that which is not for my highest good now fades from me, and I no longer desire it. Remember leaving the past behind us? I don't know about you, but I've been through a few diets, and I'm clear there's certain foods that aren't good for me. I had a few of them on Thanksgiving. So do we understand what we're saying? Because we have been trained to not know our good. So it's learning to leave that which is non-productive for us behind us. And you see anger, upset, revenge, all those states of being are counterproductive to our wealth. So the point is learning to leave that behind and knowing, in other words, if I'm holding resentment against, I don't know, an ex-friend or a spouse, then I'm actually cutting off my good in the overall scheme of the universe. Then it goes on and said, my God-given desires are richly fulfilled. So where do your desires come from? What does that say? My God-given desires. See, I wouldn't think it, I wouldn't want it unless it had its purpose for me. Okay, then it goes on, so it says, and richly fulfilled now in God's own wonderful way. Everybody take a deep breath, because this is who we are. This is the promise. Now, guess what? My suggestion is this be spoken verbally at least every morning, and maybe at lunchtime, and maybe at dinner time, or maybe 10, 20 times a day. Doesn't matter, whatever you decide to do. Now, you're not forcing anything. All you're doing is accepting who you are. That's a big step. Understand, it says we have to accept our abundance. We have to accept our oneness. We have to accept our unity. So, to get you started, I would like us to repeat this out loud together as a group. Everybody ready?
Ready.
Good. I am a rich child of a loving Father. All that the Father has is mine to share and to experience. Divine intelligence is now showing me how to claim my own God-given wealth, health, and happiness. Divine intelligence is even now opening the way for my immediate blessings. I have faith that all that is mine by divine right now comes to me in rich abundance. My rich blessings do not interfere with anyone else's good. Since God's rich substance is unlimited and everywhere for all to use, there is no delay. That which is not for my highest good now fades from me, and I no longer desire it. My God-given desires are richly fulfilled now in God's own wonderful way. Now, we have to give Catherine Ponder credit. This is her affirmation, and you'll find it on page 62 of this book. So if you want more on it, go buy the book. We have a few around that we can share with you. And come visit with us on Wednesday nights. Now, Tommy's going to be doing a prosperity class in spring.
Good.
Okay? And that class,
Keys to the kingdom.
Keys to the Kingdom is one of the, he's done it, 3 times now. And that's a powerful class, and it gets involved in other ideas of prosperity. We're just touching the surface here, is what we're doing. Folks, the key to it is it's important that each one of us become that dynamo that we are. That generator of wealth, that generator of health, that generator of relationships. The daily word today talks about your house is creating an energy of good in your house, in your residence. Anybody agree when you go into a place that really feels good, you like it? And it doesn't happen by accident. Somebody is doing the work. Somebody is praying, somebody is meditating, somebody is doing affirmations, somebody is creating negative ion generators. People are doing, there might be special music playing, there might be affirmations playing. There's something happening that creates the energy. And the key to it is that energy permeates everybody because you radiate who you are. So my request is that we all radiate prosperity.
Amen.
Because I don't know about you, but in my life, it's much easier to be happy and do a spiritual process when I'm not concerned about the end of the month. So here we are, we're embarked on a journey, and we're taking that journey to a higher level. And again, it's up to you. See, I've shared these ideas before. On the back table are 2 sheets of Catherine Ponder's affirmations. They've been sitting back there. And how many of you are doing it every day, like we suggested? So it doesn't happen unless you do it. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay, we keep looking for a way to open up our skull. I wish I could just open up your skull and pour it in. It doesn't work that way. You got to put it in. And the only one that's responsible for who you are, what you do, and what you produce in life is you and what you have done with yourself. And I love you dearly, and it's kind of like, my heart goes out to people standing in line on Black Friday because they're afraid they're not gonna get what they want. And I would like to see a culture, a society, a church community that's prosperous and happy and feeling good about life. And we're on our way. Congratulations, I love you. I'm finished.
Yeah.
Bless you.